All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me on a Sunday evening. Before I do go any further, I have to apologize. I sound terrible. I am battling a little bit of man flu, and you guys know how tough man flu is. It is nasty. So right now in front of me, I've got a cup of tea, I've got a Lemsip, I've got lozenges, and I've got water. So I've got everything in front of me to try and make sure I can get my voice to go through the next hour and give you guys everything I can in terms of the whole idea of how to identify a great property deal. Because I know that that's a topic that a lot of people are very excited about. So thank you for joining me on a Sunday evening. For you sports fans, you're sacrificing a wee bit of sport at the moment to join me. So I do appreciate, the end of Bathurst, the cricket, all sorts going on. Not that I'm a sports fan and I'm aware of all these events going on, but I am very excited to be here tonight and to be able to share with you guys some great content in terms of tonight's web class, or what we call the Power Hour. So I need to make sure that the chat is working, because it always makes me laugh. Carol, I always appreciate having you join me on these sessions, and you bring so much great energy. So thank you. But watching Carol have a conversation with herself, I feel sorry for her sometimes. So please make sure you guys jump on the chat and keep the questions coming, keep the comments coming, and let's start off with just letting us know where you are joining from tonight in terms of tonight's session. So welcome. There is a few people kind of rolling in, so I'll let them in as we're going, and let's get into it. So like I said, welcome to tonight's session on how to identify a great property deal. When I had the opportunity to pull together a session on this topic, I sat there and I put down all the information I wanted to share, and we probably needed a few days worth of time, because the opportunities and the idea around identifying a great deal has so many parts to it. And those so many parts come down to different concepts about where you guys are with your investing journey, what strategies you're implementing, what financial position you're starting from, and also where you're looking to get to. So these are all parts to identifying how to identify a great property deal, because everybody's property deal is going to be slightly different. And that's something I really want you guys to take away from today, that not every person's journey is the same. And every person's journey is going to involve different deals to get them to where they want to get to, depending on where they are starting from. So once again, let's get into it and have a look at what we will be covering off tonight. And Carol, I can see that you're still having a chat by yourself at the moment in the chat. So that's all right, guys. It's just Carol that feels awkward having a chat with herself. So when you get the moment, pull up the chat and say something nice to Carol or myself. You don't even have to say something nice, just say something. It's all good. So this is what we do have in store for you guys today. I'm going to start off and talk through something called the SAD principle. Now, it's something, if you've seen me speak, it's something that I'm big on. It's the idea of identifying a pathway to the types of deals that are going to best suit your journey and your types of property investment. So we're going to talk through that. It really is about creating a pathway or a strategy to avoid being sad, is the crux of it. And for me, a big part of tonight's session is understanding the calculations, because identifying a great deal is all about understanding the numbers behind the deal. Too often people take things on face value. And I'm going to start with this concept because this is a little bit of one that we see a lot, and people's misconception. You see a property that has been on the market for, let's say, 6 months. What's the first thing that comes to mind? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear of a property that's been on the market for 6 months? Before I carry on, I'm going to give you some time, because I'm sure someone is going to be the first one to pop something in the comments there. But what is the first thing that comes to mind? So really what I'm going to share with you guys today is all about the calculations that you need to look through in terms of the type of deal and how best to analyze that deal. As part of that as well, how can we quickly build a portfolio? How can we build a portfolio over a shorter period of time? It frustrates me that so often the concept of property investment is buy, because this property is going to grow in value 5% for the next 7 years. And at that stage, you'll have enough equity to buy another property. It frustrates me that we are predicting what growth we're going to see in the next little while, because nobody can predict that. Nobody. It also frustrates me because if you're an educated investor and you understand principles, you actually have the ability to go in and create that growth in the initial stages of your investment. I'm going to share some concepts with it today with you guys, and I think that'll be hugely valuable as we go away from today. As well as that, guys, I'm going to give you some current examples, a couple of really, really fresh examples that are happening in the current market to give you an idea as to what is possible in this market right now, what students of ours are achieving, and how they're able to buy the right types of properties for their journey. Once again, really, really important. So thank you guys for joining me. Time for a sip of my tea to keep the throat going. And yes, Carol, absolutely. As soon as someone sees a property that's been on the market for 6 months, the thought that comes across is what's wrong with it? And what's wrong with it because someone else must have seen what's wrong with it, rather than someone else has missed the opportunity that is sitting there in front of them. I'm going to start off with a quote that Wealth Mentor is big on. And it's a quote that I would love you guys to write down and really ponder, because what I would like you to do is think about the concept of when you buy property as though it's never going to actually increase in value. Never going to increase in value. And right now you're probably going, Jono, you've probably had way too much Lemsip, because that is a silly comment, because you buy property to be able to grow in value. Yes, correct. Growth in property is a beautiful byproduct. It is something that gives us the ability to have long-term growth through the fact that we've got inflation. Capital growth is a part of that. But imagine if we can go into our property transactions understanding the purchase at the time of our investment, to make sure that we're still achieving that actual growth and that actual uplift at the time of purchase. So that's really, really important. So love starting with that comment and jumping in on a little bit of an interesting one, but something I'd love you guys to take away from today. Now, I can see you guys love your keyboards, so I'm not going to ask you to jump on the chat for a little while, but there's still, I'm tell you what, I'm going to give a prize for the first person besides Carol to say something in the chat. So a little bit about myself. I get the opportunity to introduce myself because I'm the one speaking to you guys for the next hour, and I'd love for you to know a little bit more about who I am, because I do recognize some names joining us tonight, and it's great to have you along. But just a little bit about myself. First and foremost, for me, I'm a family man. I'm all about my family. My wife, Karen, there you can see in the photo, my two beautiful daughters, Isla and Harley. Absolutely everything for me. And I think it's also important, guys, that as you grow your portfolios, your portfolio to your financial freedom, you have something that you're driving towards. What is the goal, and who are you looking to benefit? What's the legacy you're leaving for you and your family? For me, it's definitely my family. My first property investment was actually on a reality TV show. It wasn't really an investment because it was a reality TV show, but we flipped a property on national television. And for any of you that has seen me speak before, you've heard the fact that I did make a complete fool of myself on national television. And if you ever get the opportunity, please never watch Our First Home season 1, because the guy who won it made a fool of himself. I've now, thank you, Gilbert, appreciate that. Welcome, and thank you for jumping in the chat. You get a prize. I don't know what it is yet, but tell you what, I'll give you the opportunity to book a call with me soon. Book a call and I'll figure something out. We'll sort it out. I don't know what it's going to be, but we'll figure something out. I'm very now fortunate to be the head of property at Wealth Mentor. We've got an amazing team of investors and mentors that we work alongside. Unbelievable knowledge, and we're changing so many people's lives. And hopefully tonight we give the opportunity to you guys to be able to change your life and change the way you perceive property. And obviously the fact that I'm here tonight, I've obviously done a little bit of investing and also a pretty experienced mentor as well, and been able to educate and work with many, many students on achieving their financial freedom. And like I said, big sports fan, do love a game of cricket. So the Black Caps playing right now. Big fan of motor racing as well, Bathurst right now, but also love a barbecue. And did a first, this is completely irrelevant, but last night I did my first overnight smoke, which ended up in some beautiful pulled pork today. which was pretty exciting and probably some completely irrelevant for you guys joining me on a property seminar. Lastly, a little bit more about my family. Now, I want to talk about my parents, because for me, the whole reason why I think I'm here tonight is because of them. My parents made a massive sacrifice moving from South Africa to New Zealand, and I don't know if anybody here is moved to New Zealand. Let us know in the chat. Now that Gillibert's got the momentum going on the chat, it's a massive sacrifice to move to a different country. Excuse me. When you do that, you need to almost appreciate how much your parents have sacrificed for you to be able to give you a better life. So for me, that's been really powerful for me in order to make sure that I can then pass on that for me and my family. Being able to build a portfolio for my parents, that is probably one of my greatest achievements, and be able to then educate thousands of people, just like you can see there in the bottom corner at one of our events. Love some fly fishing, love some golf. That there was a 72 hole in one day where we raised $10,000 for Cancer Society. That was a pretty epic day, which I did there alongside my old man. So that's a little bit about myself. But you can see there, when I talk about myself, it's what does wealth mean to me? What does wealth mean to me? Because wealth, at the end of the day, you guys are here heading along to a Wealth Mentor event. We're about finding out and working towards you guys achieving wealth for whatever that means to you. And that's what it's about. Now, I told you that I would share with you the SAD principle. Before I do that, you need to think about what that wealth is to you, because that wealth is your end goal. Because the end goal needs to determine what process or what purchases you have along the way. Your end goal will then come back to determine what strategy you are going to implement within your property investment journey. And that then comes back down to the SAD principle. Now you can see there at the top, we got strategy starting off. The first thing that we need to figure out, once we've established the goal, what is the best strategy for us to get us to that goal? If the goal is, let's $100,000, let's say, for example, in your bank account, well, what strategy is going to get us there quickest? Well, what's our starting position? Do we have the ability to go in and flip a property, or do we need to now look at other ways that we can potentially partner up with somebody else to get that first deal? So the strategy comes into it. The next part of it is understanding the strategy based on the area that we're going to be investing in, because not all property or strategies work in all areas. So identifying an area that fits your strategy and probably also your buying power as well. And then last of all comes the actual deal. Last of all comes the actual property that you're going to be buying. First of all, what are you trying to achieve? Secondly, what's the best strategy for you guys to get there? Then we determine the area that's going to best be for implementing that strategy. And last of all, we go find those properties that fit in that model. Now, you guys are here tonight to find out about how we find those deals. And that's what I'm going to share with you very shortly. But what are those strategies that you might be implementing? For some of you that have seen us speak before, these are the property investment strategies that we can look to implement within our property investment journey. Owning your own home can be a part of your property investment journey. It's a matter of identifying your own pathway, essentially, towards your goals. So whatever goal you've got, we need to find out where you fit on within the pyramid. And that's how we're going to figure out how we're going to get you to your goals. Now, I did say that I will give you the opportunity to book a call with me, guys. I've actually got that up right here for you guys. So I know that we haven't got very far, but if anybody's interested in talking a little bit further with me at some stage about their investment journey, Gillibert, about what prize I'm going to give you, we'll figure that one out. Please book a call. Let's have a chat and see how we can help you on your investment journey. Maybe what strategy is going to be best for you guys to achieve that end goal for you guys. So when we talk about property investment, generally we have the ability to build a portfolio. And identifying the right type of property, which is tonight's topic, comes down to being able to identify how we are able to buy property that gives us the ability to buy more property. Now that might sound a bit weird, but the whole concept is all about purchasing a property that gives you the ability to leverage the equity into another property. So what is the formula to be able to do that? So that you can leverage again and again and again. And I'm not talking about doing this in 17, 15 years. I'm talking about looking to do this within sort of 3 to 6 months until you are able to achieve your financial goals. Remember, guys, the financial goal is very important, but before you can figure out what strategy we're going to implement, you always need to understand what is that financial goal. So what is the formula that we need in order to be able to make sure we can identify these properties that are going to best suit our portfolio to be able to buy over and over again? And what that is the very, very simple concept. Now, I've shared this on most of the power hours we've done recently because it is so important to understand this concept. And it comes back to tonight's topic, which is identifying the right type of deal. First of all, you need to make sure that you're buying property below market value. You add perceived value. What that is doing, you are creating equity. You're creating equity on a property. So when it comes down to being able to identify the right type of property, we need to first of all identify market value so that we can ensure we are able to make that gain when we buy the property. Because when you have the ability to do that, then you can either refinance, leverage into another property, or we have the ability to sell it and enjoy the profits from it. Hopefully this is making sense. And I know you guys are here tonight to learn about how to identify the property, but I think you need to have a little bit of concepts around what the whole identifying a property for. That's why I started with this. I'm going to get to a little bit more detail. And remember, I've got a couple of deals that I want to share with you guys really shortly. So I've mentioned the concept of leverage. So what is leverage in terms of, okay, you followed this principle that John showed you, buy below value, add perceived value, and we end up with equity gain. How do we leverage that? How do we leverage that? And what is leverage? Let me show you an example of what I'm talking about when we talk about the ability to buy below value and add value. If you were purchasing a property for $300,000, and that property you purchased was $300,000, the bank or the lending institute was happy to give you 60% loan on this property. That means that they were saying, right, it's worth 600, we're going to put 180 in, but you need to put in $120,000 as a deposit. That means you've now got a $180,000 mortgage on the property to purchase this property. So what we then want to look at is the concept of, well, if we follow those principles that John has told us, is identify when we purchase a property and being able to buy below value and add value, we now have a property that's going to be worth more. We can revalue that property at its higher value. The property is added perceived value. So now we have a property worth $500,000. So straight away, we've added the value to this property. Now, if you go back, remember that I said you can borrow 60%. The banks are happy to give you 60% on the value of your property. So if you've got a $500,000 mortgage, $500,000 purchase, the lender's willing to give you $300,000 against the value of that property. They're literally going to go, here we go. Carol, take this $300,000 against the value of your property. But if you remember back, guys, you've actually already got a mortgage on this property that you purchased because you bought it for $300,000 and you got a $180,000 mortgage on the property. But the difference between the new mortgage and the old mortgage is actually something called usable equity. So when you go in and look at properties, identifying the ability to add value, I'm going to share 10 ways to add value really shortly. Identifying the ability to add value is massive, because now we've got $120,000 of equity available that we can go and use. So how do we leverage that equity? Let me share that with you before I actually share with you the ways that we're going to add value. So the formula that we use, we take our usable equity and we divide that by the deposit required. And what we end up with is our purchasing power. How much we can then go and buy a new property for. How does that look in terms of if we have this loan at 60%? Remember, we managed to get $120,000 of usable equity on our example. We divide that by 40%. That means we get to go buy another property for $300,000. I hope this has made sense to you guys, because this here is the simple formula as to how you can build a portfolio in a short period of time. Bugger this waiting 7 years for the property market to increase by 5%, like every financial advisor seems to figure out. How about we control the ability to know how much equity and value we're adding to the property? That is really, really powerful and gives us the ability to control the growth of our property. Now, you're here tonight to identify how you can identify a good deal. For me, it comes back down to how we can add value to the property. So I'm going to share with you 10 ways to add value to the property. And what I'd like you to think through when I'm doing this, think back to the last couple of properties that you might have looked at and think to yourself, could I have implemented one of these strategies in terms of adding value to the property to be able to create that extra equity to then be able to finance out and onto the next property? And let's start off with a nice simple one of a cosmetic renovation. A cosmetic renovation is as simple as it sounds. It's going in there and putting some lipstick on. It's putting some paint job, new carpets. Now, this is really the 101 of strategies. Often this comes into being able to add some value. It's probably not your huge value add, but it's tidying up the property and bringing it up to market standards. This is generally a lot of the properties that we see out there. Structural renovations. One of the key points that I always look for when I'm looking at a property is the space that you have available within the footprint equal to how many bedrooms are available in this footprint. I'll give you an example. If you find a property that has 100 square meters and it's only a 2-bedroom, I would be considering whether there's the ability to get another bedroom in there. That's really, really important, guys. 120 square meters, you could potentially look at a 4th bedroom, potentially an office space. If it's got a big laundry, guess what? Move the laundry to the garage, you've got another bedroom. This is a great value add. It's a great way to increase the rent on the property as well, because now you've taken it to the next stage. Very, very important, that structural renovations. Extensions, goes without saying. Add on to the property. Just be careful here, because this could overcapitalize in some of those lower price point areas. Just be conscious of that. Conversions. This here is property buy and hold investor. I said 101 for cosmetics, so we'll have to go 102 on this one. Look at converting spaces that are not living spaces into living spaces. For example, garages into dwellings. We saw this massive through South Auckland probably 5 years ago, and now we're seeing it quite a lot through the regional towns happening, where garages are becoming sleep outs. Definitely something you want to consider. A title change, huge value add. If you've got a cross lease into a freehold, a leasehold into a freehold. That one's a confusing one. If you've got any questions on that one, you know what to do. You book a call, we'll chat it through and I can explain it. Adding dwellings, goes without saying. Let's put a minor dwelling on that property. What's the land that we have available? Remember, I told you guys when I identify a property, I look at the house size as to what I've got options available. But what about the land size? What's the land size and what do I have available within that space to potentially add another dwelling, be it a minor dwelling or be it a fully new dwelling or be it a sleep out? Options available. Again, the way that we look at it, subdivisions, this kind of comes back in to the adding dwellings concept. Consents, the usage of the property. Commercial, could this be a residential? Could it be residential or commercial? Is that going to get it a higher value? It's going in and looking at property with eyes wide open, not assuming. Never assume when you look at properties online. Always go in there and investigate. And lastly, get the property up to market rent. It's crazy how many properties are not rented at market rent. I think it's only fair. We're not here to rip anybody. We're here to put a really great product forward to our tenants, but they need to be looking to pay market rent for it. We're not overcharging them market rent, but this also increases or adds to the value of the property. Now, you would have heard me mention a couple of times tonight, guys. It's all about the numbers. It's all about the numbers. So what we want to do is we want to understand our numbers so that we avoid purchasing on emotions. Thank you, Carol. Very kind. The whole, who's heard someone say, I bought this property. It was just so cute. I just love the front garden. Oh, I could see myself living there. Now, as an investor, as an educated investor, it is all about the numbers, guys. For me, most of my portfolio, I have not stepped foot in. I have not even looked at it. But it's all about making sure that you know the numbers to make sure that you are making the right decisions based on your investments. So you know your numbers to avoid the emotional purchases. So what are some of the numbers that you need to know? Probably one of the key ones for buy and hold investors, understanding gross yield. Now, guys, just so that you're aware, I have a whole lot of content in here tonight. So we probably will be going power hour and a bit more. So I hope that's all right with everybody. I didn't want to cut anything out of it. So just so everybody's aware, we're at about the halfway mark. So gross yield. This here is the number one calculation that you guys need to be on top of going forward as a buy and hold investor. What this is relating the income of the property to the purchase price or the value of the property. The calculation, annual rent divided by purchase price times 100 equals your gross yield. Now, really what you should be looking to achieve is probably that 7-8% plus in terms of your gross yields. Some of you guys are investors currently. Why don't you chuck the numbers into your calculator right now on some of your properties? Annual rent divided by purchase price times 100. What's the gross yield? And are we achieving that 7, 8, 9% plus? Because that's where we start to get our cash flow. Let me show you an example of how we run a gross yield. Because this is a pretty standard sort of numbers that we see on should I say, I'll put it nicely. New build properties that you can buy off the shelf. A $500,000 purchase, $500 a week rent, pretty standard numbers. So how does that look in terms of a gross yield? $26,000 of annual income divided by 500,000 is going to give you a 5.2% gross yield. Now, guys, it's a really quick way for you to work out any gross yields. Is if the 500 rent and the 500 purchase, it's about 5.2%. $1 million rent, $1 million rent, that'd be nice. $1 million of purchase price and $1,000 rent, 5.2% gross yield. Remember, I'm telling you that you need to be looking to buy upwards of that 7%, looking to get ideally higher towards those sort of double figures. Why am I saying that? Why are we looking at that? Because cash flow is king. So when you start to look at these potential properties, I've now given you two really key points. Do you have the ability to add value? And what's the gross yield? There's a couple of nuggets there, guys. You need to be following those principles when you look at properties. So how do we then work out whether the property is cash flowing? Income less our expenses equals our cash flow. Now, the interesting thing, you can make any property that has an income, it can earn $1 a cash flow positive property. Okay, you might, maybe a little bit more, you have to pay rates if you didn't pay the rates. But at the end of the day, guys, the biggest expense that we've got within a property is the mortgage. What I am asking for you to look at when you run your numbers, is your property still cash flow positive when you have 100% lending on the property? Is your property still positive at 100% lending? For those of you joining me late, sorry, I do have a little bit of the man flu and there's an odd cough there. I'm doing my best. I've got tea, Lemsip, and water and lozenges all in front of me. I'm doing my best. So apologies if there's any coughs in there. So let's go back. Rent, less all our expenses, is going to then work out how much cash flow or how much profit our property is making for us each month or each year or each week. A good yield will relate to a really good cash flow on our properties. So let's now have a look at a property that we've recently had one of our students get under contract. Now, I apologize, I have no photos of this property. And that's not because I'm too lazy to get photos. That is because I can't share the photos of this property because the property is still under contract. The property has not gone unconditional yet. Okay, so the property is under contract. That's why there's no photos, there's no address. Okay, because it is actually only just gone under contract. Let's have a look at some numbers. Who's excited about seeing some numbers? If my slides work, there we go. Recent deal, which is pretty cool when you go through these numbers. So purchase price, or it's under contract for $335,000. It's actually got an asking price on this property for $390,000. There's probably right now a few of you going on Trade Me going, $390,000 property in New Zealand. Maybe I can find it. This property is a settlement in November, so it's a 4-week settlement on this property. It requires a $60,000 renovation, but it's going to achieve a post-renovation value of $500,000. So let's look at those numbers. 335 plus 60, let's even say 65, that's 400, and that's $100,000 of equity gain on this property. That's $100,000 of wealth created in one property transaction. And the great thing is, that's all well and good in terms of the equity gain. Remember, I talked to you guys that that equity gain gives us the ability to buy on and on and on. But the cool thing is that this property still has a really, really good cash flow associated to it. Remember, it comes back down to your yield. So let's have a look at our cash flow numbers. So this property has a rent of 2383, which is $550 per week on rent. We've run our numbers on a monthly basis. That just works well with monthly statements from property managers, etc., etc. Interest on this property, that's at a 60% LVR and 5% interest rate. MO, guys, for those of you that don't know, MO is monthly operating expenses. That includes your rates, it includes your insurances. That there is going to ensure that you are covered in terms of your maintenance as well. Management, you're going to need somebody who manages property for you. You're not going to be doing it, I wouldn't imagine so. So management fees. This property has the ability to put $848 per month of positive cash flow. Remember, it's also got $100,000 of equity gain. On a small property transaction, $335,000 purchase, it has achieved $100,000 of equity gain and $848 per month, over $10,000 per year of passive income. I agree, Carol. Cha-ching. Lem Sipton. Oh, not nice in my tea. All right. Now, the reason why I believe that we need to be looking at our properties and running the numbers based on its actual position. When we see the property online, we have our agent send it to us. We identify property that potentially has the yield and potentially has a way that we can increase the value on it. We can run our numbers. We're not running our numbers based on that hopeful growth, because you know what, guys? The market prediction cannot, it's, how do I put this nicely? It's just not possible to predict what the market is going to do. Because at the end of the day, the market could go down, it could go up, it could stay the same. We don't know. Yes, there's factors that influence the market. Right now, we have things in the market like we have immigration. So borders is just starting to be opening up right now. As well as that, we already have a huge shortage of housing in New Zealand. We're about 114,000 houses short. In terms of migration or the borders opening, guys, those stats that we're seeing are behind, about 3 months delayed. So we are getting delayed information. The scary thing as well in this country, we have over $1 million a day being spent on emergency housing. There's 30,000 people living in emergency housing. That's living in hotels and motels. How nuts is that? I like that comment from you there, Trevor. Is it too good to be true? Absolutely. It is kind of the way that we look at that and go, there must be something that we're missing, because no, we can't be suddenly creating that on it. And it's so true that we look at it that way. But if we have the knowledge to be able to go in and identify all the elements of it to make sure that we are making sure that it is correct, then, well, why wouldn't it be? And that's the knowledge that we can bring to it. It's a great comment. I absolutely love it. Again, guys, the market could do anything. We don't know. Could go up, could go up, down, could stay the same. If anybody is trying to time the markets, I wish you all the best. And I hope your crystal ball is a lot better than my crystal ball, because I'm not getting a whole lot of information right now, except for the fact that we've got a shortage of housing and we've got an election coming up in about 13 and a half months. Not that I'm counting. We've got an election coming up in about 13 months. And I guarantee the current government will do whatever they can to try and ensure that housing market does not drop much lower, because it's not a great look for them going into the election. There's a number of factors, and now that's a personal opinion, guys. This is not financial advice, just to clear that one up. That's my personal opinion on what the market is doing. The factors of demand, the factors of what they will do in order to control, to hopefully, or to prevent any drop in the values coming forward, leading into that election. If we do have a shift in government, we're going to probably see a big shift in the market, because obviously there will be changes to the current taxes, and also the way that landlords are treated, which is a bit, we're not going to go there. Comes back down to, guys, like I said, we need to have a plan. If you go back to the start of tonight's Power Hour, I talked about the SAD principle. Figure out what you want to achieve. Then we can look at what strategy is going to be best for us to get there, what area is going to be best for us to invest in, and then the best deal that we can use in order to achieve that financial goal. I'm about to share with you guys another deal. I've got the opportunity there for you guys, again, if you want to scan that, to book a call with myself. I'd love to have a chat, guys. If you want to learn more about Wealth Beats, or if you'd just like to have a chat about your own property investment journey, let's catch up, book a call with me, and we can have a chat. Carol, would you mind actually dropping the link as well for those of you that don't like QR codes? If any of you guys would like to jump on that, thank you very much. Appreciate it. So, guys, what I'm going to share with you guys is a really, really cool deal that one of our students has recently done over in Hawke's Bay. Let's have a look at this property. So this is done by Litza and Michael. Really, really cool to see what they've achieved with this property. So they purchased this property at $733,000. Now, there's a $35,000 renovation on this property. It's a multi-income property. There's 2 3-bedroom homes in this property, and it's got a $13,000 cash flow. Now, the cash flow, you're probably looking at going, well, $1,000 a month on that purchase price, not that impressive. But the reason why it's only $1,000 or $13,000 a year of cash flow based on this purchase price, guys, is because this property is 100% lending. Go back about 20 minutes or so, I said you need to make sure when you're purchasing property that you're still getting a cash flow on the property, even at 100% lending. So this property is 100% lending because they use definitely be looking over the $1 million mark, but you can see there how cool is the equity gain that they've achieved on this property. It's at 770 in on the deal, pretty much achieving 950. That's $180,000 of wealth created in one property transaction. One deal. This deal is so fresh, guys, that this photo that you've got on this next deal was actually taken this week. So these are the numbers that we're seeing on this property. Purchased at 733. Now, what I've done for you in this slide is so If they were able to go in there and purchase this property at a 30% deposit, this is the cash flow that they would be able to achieve. Now, this photo is so fresh. It was taken this week of this renovation. It's pretty cool to see what deals are happening in this market right now. So if they were able to go in there and purchase a property like this, but then they were looking at the next options, what they could do after that. That then comes down to the concept of refinancing out. Remember, we got a new value of the property at 950. They can now take a loan against the property of 70%, 665. They already had a loan on the property beforehand at 511. $35,000 renovation. We'll throw that in there as one of the costings on this property, which means that they now have a difference between how much they originally borrowed plus the renovation and how much they can borrow now. That's $153,000 that they can take out of this deal. If they were to take that $153,000 and leverage it into the next deal, remember that was the first thing that I started with you guys today. They will have the ability to go and buy another property without putting any more money in for over $500,000. Let that sink in. The equity that's created in this property gives them the ability to go and buy another property for over $500,000. Pretty awesome. And the fact is that this property will still be creating them over $1,000 per month in cash flow. Pretty cool, eh? Pretty cool. So, tell me, can you now see why I say buy property as though it will never increase in value? You can see why we talk about this. Now, one of the things that we look to do within Wealth Mentor is we love to be able to educate. And one of the best things that we do have is the ability to continue on and do one of our masterclasses. Now, I'm going to quickly jump in there, guys, and share with you one of our masterclasses that we do have coming up. Cool. Great question, Trevor. Jump on a call. Let's talk through with it. I love that question. There's a little bit more to that one, but I can definitely share that with you, mate. Would love to. Here we go. Let me pop it up. There's the ability to book a call with me right there. Guys, like I said, for those of you that are interested in what we've shared with you tonight, we do have a couple of really cool events coming up in the next couple of months. Now, we do have what we call our property masterclass. I've got 2 dates available for you guys. Now, you'll notice for those of you that are onto it, one of those is only a 2-day event. One of them is a 3-day event. The reason being is that we are going to be running them over Labour weekend. For those of you in New Zealand, that gives you the ability to not have to worry about taking time off work. And for those of you like, you know what, John, I don't want to do Labour weekend, but I still don't want to take time off work, because that's the goal, to come to this property masterclass so you don't have to worry about the fact of taking time off work, because you don't have to take time off work because you don't work. But we have the next masterclass in November, which is on the Saturday and the Sunday, which is pretty epic. A couple of days. We actually used to offer this for $3,500, the masterclass, and I've got an opportunity for you guys tonight to get it at a ridiculously good price. It's not even hitting those 3 figures. It's well below that, actually. Now, just quickly, a comment from one of our students that has attended the masterclass before I share with you guys a really cool property trade. I can do so much more with my time. The overall content was amazing. Couldn't agree more. And it really made a difference in my mindset. Now, I did share with you guys that trading might be a part of your property investment journey. Trading properties. So let's have a look at some numbers on a property that was traded by one of our students, Matt. Now, to give you an idea, Matt is he just turned 24 years old, which is pretty cool. Once we've run through these numbers, guys, I'm going to talk through return on investment, because that, again, is a really important equation that you guys need to work through when running your numbers on a property transaction. So when trading a property, guys, what we're looking at doing is giving ourselves the ability to get a post-reno value, just like we did with those other properties, to be able to ensure that we create the profit. Some of the numbers on this property, you can see there, $100,000, okay, $99,000 of profit on only a $250,000 renovation. The cool thing about Matt, he's done many of these sort of trades. He's now gone on to higher developments. He's done over $10 million of transactions since doing his masterclass. $10 million since doing his masterclass. How cool is that? You guys don't have to do $10 million worth of deals. Don't worry. But if you want to go down that route and you want to change your lives in a big way, that opportunity is available through property. But it comes down to understanding how hard is the money working for you. And that comes down to one of my really, really important equations, and that is return on investment. I shared with you guys earlier today, return on investment and how important it is to make sure that your property is giving you the best return for you. So let's talk about what is return on investment. Return on investment relates back to the profit that you get back for your investment. So in simple terms, if you had to put your money in the bank and you put in the bank for a year, you're going to get about 2% interest. You put $100 in, you get $2 back. Now that there is your return on investment, 2%. Pretty shit, but that's your return on investment. So let's have a look at what Matt's return on investment is on this transaction here. So $99,000 of profit. And what we've done for the money in the deal is we've added up the renovation and the purchase price, so $340,000 in the deal. That's given him a 29% return on investment. Pretty good. What is that, about 10 times what you would get at the bank? Can't complain with that. I think it's time for a lozenge. So then let's have a look at the next stage of return on investment, because remember, you have the ability to borrow the money. And when Matt did this transaction, he borrowed the money besides his deposit. So if Matt was to go in and put a deposit on the property using a 70% loan to value ratio, that's a $75,000 deposit and a $90,000 renovation, this is how the numbers would look now, because he's still making that $100,000 of profit. $99,000 of profit divided by his money in the deal of $165,000. That's giving him a 60% return on investment. I'm sure many of you wouldn't mind a 60% return on investment. All right, guess what? It gets better, because the great thing about this is when you trade a property, you don't take a year to trade it. Some of the bigger deals, if you're doing leaky homes, and some of our clients are doing year-long trades, making about $500,000 of profit, that's cool. But potentially, deals like this, you should be in and out in about 3 months. So what we then need to go is, okay, if we had our money in the bank, $100 in the bank for a year, we would get $2 of interest. But if we only have it in there for 3 months, then we're only going to end up with 0.5% interest. Sorry, 0.5% interest. So that's giving us a 50 cents return on investment after 3 months. So then we have a look at what if that is the case for our annualizing the investment for this property. So for this one, we've got 4 months in this transaction. So working out our return on investment, $99,000 profit, 165 is the money that we've invested in this deal. Multiply that by 100, giving us 60% return on investment. But remember, we're only in the deal for 4 months. So we multiply it by 3 to annualize it. 180% return on investment. Whew. Wouldn't mind that. Wouldn't mind that. That there gives us some really solid return for our money when we're trading property. And that's why some people really love the concept of trading property. Now, one of the things And I wanted to touch on this, and I realize again we're coming up towards the hour mark, but I had so much that I wanted to share that I'd love to share this concept with you guys. One of the really important things when you're identifying the right types of property for your investment is ensuring that you're keeping your portfolio balanced. You're keeping your portfolio balanced. Keeping a balanced portfolio gives you the opportunity to build a portfolio quicker and not have issues, which we hear more often than not, which is serviceability issues. Serviceability issues. Which means your portfolio is not balanced. What a balanced portfolio is ensuring that if you're currently needing lending and the bank's saying you've got serviceability issues, we then make sure we buy a higher cash flow property. If we go to the lender and we're looking to buy another property, they go, you know what, you don't have enough equity. We need to ensure that we're buying a higher equity gain property. Following those two principles and keeping your portfolio balanced is going to ensure it also gives you the ability to buy property again and again and again and not get tapped out. I hope that concept makes sense for you guys, because that there is really important for those of you that want to build a portfolio in a shorter period of time and not run into issues with any lending. But really what it comes down to, guys, is the fact that cash flow is the absolute key. Cash flow and equity creation gives you the ability to build a really large property portfolio in a short period of time. Growth is fantastic. It's a beautiful byproduct, but we want to ensure that we're buying property that has large cash flow and good equity gain. Now, I hope that that's given you guys a few different concepts and ideas. I've shared as much as I possibly can with you guys tonight in terms of your identifying the deals. Because at the end of the day, the deal needs to suit what you are looking to achieve within your property portfolio. For those of you that want to learn more about investing in yourself, investing in the right types of deals and how to identify the right deals, we do have our masterclasses. They are second to none. There's amazing feedback out of everybody that attends one of our masterclasses. I guarantee it so much that I actually offer money back on it. So people that are not happy, I hate saying money back guarantee. It sounds like I'm on a TV commercial, but it's essentially what it is. If you guys are not happy, I'm more than happy to refund you at the end of day one, because I know that you'll get so much value out of it. And tonight I'm offering it. It's only $295, guys. It's a ridiculously great offer for you to get a lot of knowledge from people that have been there, done it, and gone exceptional portfolios. Ryan, Therese, amazing. You guys have had Carol on here tonight. Paul, amazing investors, all of them. Paul's built over 700 homes. Ryan has been investing for a long time, been a mentor with Earn Wealth Mentor for many years. I think he's coming up about 8 or 9 years. So we've been around for 10 years. And we've got an exceptional team, Bella, who's a performance coach, who are there for you guys. As part of as part of the masterclass, you also get the opportunity to spend one-on-one time with one of the mentors, where you get to work through your personal situation and figure out a bit of a plan. So it's a really great few days. Again, those dates, we've got 2 options. If you want to come along for 3 days and enjoy a whole lot of time with us, then Labor Weekend it is in just a couple of weeks. Highly recommend it, guys. The team is absolutely epic and you'll absolutely love it. I can absolutely guarantee that. I've said absolutely about 40 times, but we'll say it one more time. Now, for those of you that are interested, there is a QR code for the masterclass there, guys. Now, when you do head along, there is the opportunity to put a coupon code in there. Now, it's really important when you get there that you put in deal 195. I'm sharing that a bit early because that makes sure that 295, sorry, deal 295. That'll get you a nice heavy discount on the masterclass. Here's what we cover off. There's a wee bit that goes on over the few days. It is pretty intense. We go through strategies. We go through taxes. We go intense strategies like boarding houses, like lease options. I share with you 7 ways that you can do property transactions without any money. I'm also going to go and have all the team sharing with you things like negotiation, Carol does a great section on social housing, developments, guys, finance, how do we fund these deals? Everything is covered off on these 3 days. You're guaranteed to learn a whole heap about your investing and grow as an investor and become just an epic investor going forward. Here's all the inclusions that you get for the only your $295. The event, one-on-one strategy call leading up to the event as well. So we'll jump on a call before you join us at the masterclass to talk through your position, where you're at, how we can help you within the masterclass. There's probably $295 of value right there on that strategy call. You get access to our online community as well and resources, lifetime support from us at Wealth Mentor. You got any questions around properties, you email it through and we'll be there to support you guys. Strategy call, like I said, as well as a call during the actual masterclass. We used to sell this for $3.5. We normally sell it for $14.97, but we do have it at a crazy offer for you guys that are interested in jumping on that. If you guys are keen to discuss it first and you book a call, we'll lock that price in for you as well at only $295. Still $295. I feel a bit silly offering it at that price, but it is a really, really great few days that you get out of the time with the Wealth Mentor team. Now it gets even better than that, and this is where I really sound like a TV commercial. But wait, there's more, because it's always better with a friend. So this is for you and a partner as well. So this is 2 tickets to the masterclass as well. That person doesn't even have to be joining you in the same computer. You can be other side of the country. They can jump on and join you as well for this event. I know it sounds a bit crazy to do 3 days on a virtual event. Don't you worry, you will not get tired, you will not get bored. It is an interactive, exciting event. People absolutely love it. I've not had any bad feedback from how we present our virtual events, so I can guarantee you will be into it. Remember, that is for 2 people, so you get all of those inclusions for 2 people at only $295. So I think that's a pretty good offer. And I would love to be able to discuss with you guys. If you have any questions about the masterclass, remember you do have the opportunity to jump on a call with us and have any of those questions answered. Even if you just want to jump on a call and discuss your current investing, what you're doing and how we can shift your strategy, please do so. The link is in the chat. As well as that, we do also have the ability to jump on through the QR code. As well as that, I will hang around at the end of tonight for any of you that does want to have a chat afterwards. I'll be here to answer any questions as well and make sure that we get any of those questions answered. There's that QR code once again, guys, for the masterclass. But really, we're at that time within your investing journey to decide what path do you want to take? What path are we going to take? Going to keep going with what we've always done? Or is it time to look to invest in yourself and look to grow your knowledge in your property portfolio? My journey started just like you guys, attending an event like this, going along to a masterclass and growing a portfolio that has changed not only my life, my parents' lives. And it is something that I cannot stress enough, the opportunities that lie within property for you guys. So the time to take action is right now. Like I said, guys, I will hang around and answer any questions that you guys have at the end of tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you've learned something. Bree, awesome. Can't wait to see you in November. It'll be amazing to have you there. Guys, thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, my man Flu hasn't pulled me back too much, but I've given it my all. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, please reach out. There are the details if you want to have a chat, or also the property masterclass. Thank you once again. Have a fantastic evening, and as always, stay awesome, everybody. Good night.